Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I have another fabulous guest today, a fellow coach as well, who is Frances Goodall. She calls herself a health and pleasure coach. So, welcome.
Thank you for having me here with you.
You are so welcome. I'm excited to dive in to more Tantra. If you've been listening for a while, that is what we're diving into. People want to know, what the heck is this Tantra stuff? Are we diving into 101 different sex positions, or is it all about sex? Because that's what people all seem to think it might be about. And it's so hard, I find, to actually break down exactly what it is that we do. So I
Yeah.
think the more that we can speak and the more that we can share and the more that we can give our life experiences from ourselves as coaches, as well as share our clients' journeys of what
Yes.
they can achieve through what
Yeah.
we do, is
Yeah.
so important. Because it's also something I find, Tantra wise, it's something you, once you feel it and you tap into it and you're like, oh, so that's
Yeah.
what we're doing. Like,
Yeah.
it's all everything. It's connection, it's spirituality, it's power, it's empowerment, it's relationships, it's juiciness. It's so much, so
Yeah.
much.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing.
How would you break down Tantra? What are the words that you come to mind when somebody says, what is Tantra? What comes to mind for you?
Yeah, what comes to mind for me is working with energy, is spirituality, is love, yeah, is
Mm.
yeah, everything and also yeah, I mean I guess there's the classical and the neo tantra kind of different ways of looking at tantra, but yeah, I guess it's more the neo tantra that I've studied, but I also have had deep spiritual experiences as well through tantra, but in other ways as well. And so yeah, it's just a really powerful system to support us to be more awake, more aware, experience more passion, more joy, more pleasure. That's what I'd say. Yeah.
Mm. That is perfect. And yeah, technically, like from our lineage that we've been trained, even just through Layla Martin, we're
Yeah.
actually already working with the neo and classical
Yeah. Yes.
naturally, because
Yes. Yeah.
she actually was very in in depth. Is that the right word? Very in, right from 17 into more classical
Yes.
tantra. And then
Absolutely.
she's
Yeah.
pulled it into the neo. And we're
Yeah.
using this tantric principles and philosophies to merge into all things, whether it's in the
Yes.
bedroom,
Yeah.
in sex, in
Yeah.
relationships, in love, in connection. And
Yeah.
yeah, and depends which one of her many teachers, which I've also trained with Ma Ananda Sarita
Oh, have
this year, which
you?
was really beautiful. Yeah, it was
Amazing.
nice to play with more of the classical and to
Yeah.
explore. And and that's actually, if I say anything, even though I studied Tantra myself for like a few years back in the beginning, I still myself was like, but what is Tantra? Like, what
Yeah.
is it? Like, what
Yeah.
really is it? And then
Yeah.
it took upon studying a little more and reading, and then going, oh, so you mean that's everything we've been doing this whole time? Oh,
Yeah.
right. It's got such a huge lens
Yes.
around it and
Yes.
such a huge container that we're pulling from constantly.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
beautiful. But I'd love to
Yeah.
know, what's your story? What got you to where you are now? And also tell us where you are now, what you do, who are you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess a big part of my story and journey into all of this kind of work was my own health issues I had when I was 19. I got chronic fatigue and I went on a really deep journey to figure out how to heal myself. In that time, I also got very intense about meditation and I had a Kundalini awakening, although I didn't know that what it was at the time. It was only late looking back that I figured it out. Um, so yeah, so I kind of woke up to energy and to spirituality a lot, but I had to work hard at sort of integrating those experiences as well, because I was quite young when I had quite a profound spiritual experience and my body and psyche almost wasn't quite ready for that experience at that time in my early 20s. Yeah, and then in my 20s, I went off to Thailand to study some Tantra and practice Tantra in a yoga school I wouldn't recommend now, the issues that are connected with that school. I also, yeah, got involved with some Tantra stuff in my hometown with like a group of us used to meet up and practice things like working with the senses and meditations together and things like that. I also in a relationship in my early 20s, we used to do tantric techniques together, and had some quite profound experiences together. So yeah, that's and
Vast,
then
yeah.
yeah, so and I've been doing it for a long time in a way. Like yeah, my training with Layla was 2020. I don't know if no, I think maybe you've been doing it for longer than me than Layla, but I don't know. Yeah, and then I ended up training in lots of different modalities as well. So I'm also like an IFS or internal family systems practitioner as well, and family
Beautiful.
constellations work, ancestral healing. I do all sorts of different things. But in my own journey, I also realized the more I healed myself of trauma, the more I woke up my capacity for pleasure as well. It was like I
Yes.
noticed after a trauma healing experience, I'd suddenly be like, oh, my orgasms are bigger and fuller and more expansive. So that was also really fascinated by that as well.
That's
So
such a great concept to share that we actually haven't touched on through this journey of sharing all of these um, with the sex love relationship coaches through all of these episodes is yes, the more healing we do on ourselves through the tantric lens, the more our pleasure expands and becomes like, holy shit, what was that?
yeah,
That is
yeah,
such a really good principle. And the more we can hold,
yeah.
the more we can hold in a crazy, chaotic life. For example, if you listen to my earlier podcast this year, I moved, had actually had 5 moves and a fire in a few months. And
Wow.
again, I was just holding it. And I was like, oh, I never would have been able to hold this exactly before, right? But
Yeah,
I was so grounded and in my body, and I was able to hold it. So the more that we can hold pleasure, the more that we can hold chaos, the
yeah,
more that we can hold pain and
yeah,
grief, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I would say
Yeah,
that too.
such a good
Absolutely.
point. Such a
Yeah,
good point.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a
Mhm.
nice side effect that I didn't necessarily expect is do some trauma therapy and then the next minute I'm like having like more bliss and orgasms experiences that are just more profound and bigger and I'm just like, wow. So yeah,
Isn't
fascinating.
that amazing? And it makes sense, right? Like the body literally keeps the score, right? That's the
Yeah,
title of a very powerful book,
yeah,
Going Through Trauma. And it's like we've locked it down. We've locked down our body to feel
yeah,
everything, to
yeah,
feel
yeah,
pleasure, to feel grief, to feel pain, to
yeah,
feel fear. We've locked it all down because we're so afraid of it. So, if you tighten every single muscle in your body, you're not going to
yeah,
feel much. Goodness, there's
yeah,
not the freedom, there's not the openness, there's not the lightness, there's not the spaciousness
yeah,
to
yeah,
feel
yeah.
everything that makes us human.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It reminds me of something that Mama Gina shared for years because I also worked with Mama Gina before Layla.
Amazing. Yeah.
And yeah, beautiful journey and life-changing journey for me. And that's what took me on this path. And she refers to all of our emotions being a keyboard, right? But not only all of our emotions, all of our life experiences. And middle C is kind of where most of us are stuck most of the time. We're like, we don't go too happy and we don't go too sad. We just kind of play in the box and we're
Yeah,
safe here. And this is where we've been put, right, by societal conditioning and life and trauma and you name it.
yeah,
However, if we want to go higher up to the other end, not that one end's higher or better than the other, it's just a keyboard.
yeah,
But if we want
yeah,
to play the higher notes and we want to feel the ecstasy and the pleasure and the joy and the laughter and the compassion and the love, we also have to be willing to play the lower notes,
yeah,
being the shadow work, the trauma, the
yeah,
pain, the grief, and learning to find safety in feeling the grief,
yeah,
finding safety in feeling the pain, healing past traumas that we may have endured,
yes,
playing with these elements and not being afraid of them because there's
yeah,
so much power that comes from and the further we get away from middle C, so if we start to play with a little bit of the
yeah,
shadow work, a little couple chords down, or what are they called? Not
yeah,
chords. It is no couple of bars right
yeah,
down. We can play with more of the higher ones. The more we
yeah,
play,
absolutely.
if we
Yeah,
spread it out, we can
yeah,
play them all. And that is the beautiful symphony of life. Like that is what we're meant to feel. But we've been
yeah.
taught to stuff it away, push it down, stop
Dumb it
crying.
down or yeah,
You're fine,
absolutely.
shake it off, suck it up.
Yeah, I remember someone saying to me once, yeah, the sort of deeper you can go into the shadow, the higher you can go into kind of the joy and the ecstasy. And it's so true. I really, yeah, have experienced that. And I think for me, getting chronically sick was a lot about a lot of what I tried to push away into the shadow and into the subconscious. And it's just like, I'm fine, but actually there's a buildup that needs tending to. And this illness was like the
Mm.
illness that I went through was a massive teacher for going there and doing the deep work. And then I was also, yeah, surprised that through doing that, I started to also open up to states of ecstasy. Through meditation, I started to have profound states of bliss. And it was, yeah, fascinating
Mm.
journey. And yeah.
Do you want to go a little deeper into that? Do you want to share like exactly what kind of manifested in your body? It's totally up to you if you want to go there or not, but I know it helps people if you do.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken about the story a lot online and things, but yeah, I had a deep journey of chronic fatigue of, well, 2 full years of feeling quite flat and low and struggling with energy and struggling to get out of the house, having to leave university, having to go back home to live with my mum, and at times
Mm.
struggling to get out of bed or off the sofa. But over time, I went on a journey of meditation and some yoga and starting to get in touch with the mind body connection, and starting to process some feelings that I didn't realize were there, like lots of sadness. I also ultimately realized there was a lot of anger in my system that was, so pushed down. But once I could start to let some of these feelings through, my energy would start to come back. And once I could start to be more of my authentic self rather than be a massive people pleaser or peacemaker, yeah, my energy would start to come back. So yeah, it was a deep journey, and then there was also a spiritual experience
Yeah.
in the middle of it that kind of left me like wide open and feeling amazing for a period of time, but then crashing, and I'd go on these massive ups and downs, which was a bit crazy until I learned to sort of stabilize it. Because I also learned that I couldn't let myself go too high. I mean, I wouldn't say. I'd say I potentially could have got a diagnosis of bipolar back then because it was so extreme. I was either like,
Mm.
I'm in ecstasy, everything's amazing, or I'm crashed down, everything's terrible.
Mm.
But yeah, over a few years, I managed to stabilize that and sort of find more ground and the sort of, yeah.
What brought that into balance?
Well, I think it was even things like someone said to me, well, what goes up must go down, like not to let it get
Mm.
too, too big or too like, like I am invincible. That was like how I'd often feel. But then I'd crash and realize I'm human as well.
Yes,
So
very good perspective. We're human as well. Did that
yeah.
also did Tantra allow you to find more groundedness and to find more centeredness and to,
Yeah, I would say in a way it did. I mean, I would say at times Tantra was also something that could take me really high as well. So I just had to be aware and stay grounded with it. Um, but yeah, I would say over time it started to enable me to integrate some of the pieces in me that perhaps made me also want to leave my body a bit or want to get too high
Mm.
spiritually. So I'd say that was a big part of being able to be grounded was doing the trauma work and the shadow work and not trying to deny any of my humanity, but really including the grief, including the anger, including letting the
Yeah.
fear move through me, to really connect to my human self as well. Because at times it was almost like I'm so in the spiritual, but it's maybe trying to bypass, yeah, certainly
So
some
you were
spiritual bypassing.
bypassing.
There
Okay,
was some
that's
of
what I was
that. There was a bit of
curious.
both,
Yeah.
but there was definitely some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
little bit of, oh, this feels good. Now let's ignore the rest
Yeah,
instead
yeah,
of,
yeah.
no, we actually have to feel the rest. We actually have to
Yeah.
process the
Yeah.
grief, the trauma, the rage, the
Yeah.
anger, all of it.
Yeah.
And then it's like this. Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
Ah, beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what else you've played with trauma awareness and healing, Kundalini, and what you do and what you do with your clients as well today.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously I did the later training, including going to Costa Rica as well, which was all really profound. Actually, Costa Rica was only last year. I guess it was about this time last year. And that
Mm,
was an amazing week. I don't know if have you done the retreat?
I
It was,
did, yes.
yeah. Yeah, that was really
Beautiful.
powerful. And yeah, I mean, and through the Kundalini, I had lots of interesting things going through my body, like shaking and body movements and spontaneous sounds and spontaneous hearing of angelic music and just really like
Mm,
unusual experiences. And yeah, and then in terms of, you know, the work I do with clients, a lot of it actually now is parts work. So it's IFS type work, which is very like the integration adventure we learned through Layla. And I also do energy medicine and EFT, sort of, yeah, working with meridians to support healing. And yeah, and I've used all these tools to support healing trauma within my own system. And yeah, and yeah, I also run a women's community around healing chronic illness. And then I'm bringing the
beautiful.
pleasure work more. Yeah, so pleasure, and I'm looking at really focusing now on kind of somatic work and pleasure work. So yeah.
Beautiful. For our listeners who are listening, what kind of health issues per se have you noticed that Tantra can really help integrate and heal? What have you noticed that's possible?
Yeah, well, I do think a lot is possible. I mean, I guess it's quite new that I'm introducing some more sort of tantric sort of approaches to healing chronic illness. But I mean, a lot of my work has been helping people with chronic fatigue, long COVID, fibromyalgia, those kind of conditions. But I think, yeah, that it could be potentially helpful for, yeah, a whole range of conditions, you know, support a healing process.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I noticed even in myself over the years, like healing from lower back pain, big
yeah,
time. Healing from, like, I had so much back pain, lower back, hip, pelvic pain that was
yeah,
always there. So it allowed, it's because I was holding on to some sexual trauma that hadn't been integrated
yeah,
properly. And then
yeah,
it's also allowed me to heal thyroid. It's allowed me to, because you're speaking your truth again, right? We're opening the
yeah,
chakras and
yeah,
playing with the different energy centers. It's also allowed me to heal a lot of womb issues, right? Like healing in painful periods or regulating my cycles, holding a very grounded and very minimal side effects from perimenopause. Huge,
amazing. That's so great to
huge.
hear. What kind
That
of
one's
tantric?
huge.
That's brilliant.
Everything,
All of
everything
it.
we do,
Yeah,
because if you get in, perimenopause, for those who are listening, haven't
yeah,
listened to some other earlier episodes, starts anytime like late 30s into 40s, all the way through into 50s. Like it's a
yeah,
good 10 plus years
yeah,
before we hit menopause. So that can be the time where we're all over the place and our hormones are all over the place. And it can be a rude awakening if we haven't done our healing work,
yes,
if we haven't looked
absolutely.
at our
Yeah,
shadows, if we
yeah,
haven't done our trauma work. So if we haven't brought in that love and that compassion and that connection and that acceptance and approval and all of that work for all of the different parts of us, we're going
yes,
to have a really rough
yeah,
perimenopause.
yes, yeah,
So, and what I find happens actually for a lot of women is it is as they move in through their late 30s that they start be like clawing for something more. There has to
yeah,
be something more. This can't be it. Maybe depression setting in. They're not speaking their truth, thyroid issues, pain in their body, so much different stuff, burnout,
yeah,
fatigue, adrenal fatigue. It's all
yeah,
connected, right?
yeah,
So when we can,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So when we
And I
can
guess
go
you're,
in and
yeah.
do this work, it's such a different perimenopausal period. What were you going to
That
say?
might make sense. So I guess yeah, and for you, because I guess for me, I'm thinking tantra is the pleasure work and the energy work, but it's also the parts work and the shadow work, which I'm so much doing with my
Yes.
clients. So in a way, yeah, all the time, and I have been for years. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, tantra's all of it, right? It's the
yeah,
lens
yeah,
of connection to
yeah,
ourself, to
yeah,
another, to spirituality, to the
yeah,
divine, to
yeah,
every single part of us that wants
yeah,
and needs something that never got their needs met.
yeah,
It's bringing in the
yeah,
compassion, it's bringing in the love, it's bringing in approval for what is, what you're
mm,
feeling right now.
mm,
It
mm,
also allows us to, I think, tap into our emotions and
mm,
feel all of them, right? Again, going into
yeah,
our sensations, bringing in the five senses,
mm,
playing with our energy, playing with
yes,
breath work, playing with
yes,
movement,
yeah,
sounding. Again,
yeah,
it's all connected. The
yeah,
entire pot
yeah.
is connected. Yeah.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great. So I have in a way been doing Tantra for years with clients without thinking of it as Tantra. And now
It
I'm thinking the Tantra is the energy bit that I'm bringing in, or the chakra bit, or the pleasure bit that I'm bringing in. But no, it's all of it. So
and
yeah.
it's that too, right? And it's
Yeah.
the epic orgasms, and it's
Yeah.
the sacred sexuality. But it's technically the sexuality part is only about 8 to 10% of all of what tantra is. There's so
Yeah.
much more.
Yes.
So much
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I think a lot of people need to know because they're thinking, oh, it's like 101 different sex positions and this and
Yeah.
that, and it's all sex and you're all naked and having big orgies. And no, it's
Yeah.
not. It's not. So
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
so important. That's why I want to do this whole series of really explaining what it has done
Yes.
for
That makes
us.
sense. Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah. What are your favorite practices that you like to work with your clients to help them really start to get in touch with their parts, with their body, feeling their sensations? What do you love to get into with your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I love to get into embodiment, really supporting clients to get in touch with their bodies, in touch with the wisdom in the body, in touch with feelings, in touch with parts. Um, yeah, and then in group sessions, I also love to bring in kind of pleasure practices, whether that's, just simple stroking all the way to orgasmic manifestation and yeah, breath work as well. The microcosmic orbit in group sessions. So yeah, lots of different kind of
Yeah.
ways of working and yeah.
Good. And for those who are listening, like what's microcosmic orbit? That's when we're
Yeah.
actually using our breath and our sound and our energy and intention, and we're actually moving our energy throughout our body. And some people don't feel energy in the beginning, and that is okay. You don't need to feel energy and feel spiritual to start doing this work. That is our job as coaches to slowly and teachers to slowly take you through, this work to reconnect to your body. I have many women especially come to me and say, I am so disconnected from my body.
Yeah.
I do not know. I don't feel anything. I'm numb. I feel
Yeah.
numb. I'm not turned on. I don't feel much libido. I'm numb and I'm depressed and I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
And I find how you're showing up in the bedroom for, one sense is also how you're going to show up in your life. So if you are showing up feeling numb and disconnected and not feeling any pleasure, most likely you're showing up that way in your day to day as well. You're
Yeah.
feeling depressed,
Yeah.
tired, exhausted, not happy. And it's very
Yeah.
connected. So we can start to play
Yeah.
with them both and start to, infuse these tools and practices, whether it's breath work and meditation and rituals and pleasure practices, whether it's on solo or with a couple, it doesn't matter. They're both super powerful, along with bringing in the parts work and
Mm,
bringing in the inner child work and working with
mm,
our shadows. And all of a sudden, everything starts to become alive, right? The
yeah.
bedroom goes up, the life goes up, and whether you're in a relationship or not, it doesn't matter. The whole point is you're
Yeah.
turning on your life force energy. You're activating your life force energy, which is this kundalini pelvic bowl, yummy, juicy, powerful energy. Yeah, you're spiraling right now as
I
I'm
love it. I can't
talking.
help it.
You're
I'm often like
like,
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? We drop into the spiral and we're activating that power that lives in our pelvic
Yeah.
bowl.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we get to up
Absolutely.
level it all, the
Yeah.
bedroom and our life at once.
Yeah, yeah,
At once.
it's incredible. Yeah, what's possible? I mean, that was the thing as well when I first started learning Tantra. I was like, why did no one tell me that I could have all these different kinds of orgasm? Like, how did I not know that? I was
Yeah.
just,
Exactly. Most women don't even know, their sexuality or their sexual lady bits, let alone what
yeah,
is possible.
yeah,
But the trauma, the shadow, the conditioning
yeah.
is like these layers of
It can be a
muck, I
lot.
find,
Yeah,
that is on top of who we are. And we have to pull back these pieces through the
yes,
work that we do. And then all of a
yeah,
sudden we unleash this. This is who I am.
yeah. There's power and this, yeah, it's incredible, really. What's possible in our human experience. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
amazing.
And there's such deep healing work in there.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Such deep healing work. That is what Tantra is, the lens that has allowed me to heal from sexual trauma, to heal from birth trauma, to heal from relationship trauma, to heal from, so many different lenses of trauma in life,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes,
All the
absolutely.
pain that
Yes,
has, made me who I am, but also was holding me back to a certain extent. It wasn't fully seen and
absolutely.
acknowledged.
No, yeah. And I also feel through my journey, and especially through awakening Kundalini, that it then wanted to not only purify or clear what had happened to me personally, but also the ancestral pieces. I also really feel strongly I had some strong past life stuff coming up as well, like layers
Mm,
and layers to expand more. It's just, yeah, yeah, it's amazing what we can carry, but also the potential we have to bring some freedom and lightness and expansion and healing to anything we carry, even if it came from our ancestors or whatever, that we don't have to keep carrying the pain of our ancestors, but we may not. It's something that I wasn't first conscious of that I could even be carrying, but there was such heavy stuff there that I think it
mhm,
just sort of being born into that family system, it just like kind of gets in there somehow. But then through these kind of healing practices, you can help to move it all through and integrate it. Yeah, and become more free and expansive and more authentic and more happy and joyful, actually. Yeah.
mhm. Beautifully said. Because I think when it is stuck, like you even went in and you were like stuck in your body, it is stuck. If we
Yeah.
haven't dealt with it and processed it, it's stuck in our body and it locks us down
Yeah.
from living our most expansive, light, joyful,
Yeah.
pleasure-filled life.
Yeah.
So we start to clear it, and yeah, it is
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful what we can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Absolutely.
yummy. Well, please, we're going to drop your links in the show notes, but can you also share in the meantime where people can find you and what you have going on right now?
Yeah. So my website is francisgoodall.com and also womenswellnesscircle.com. I'm about to start a group program called Sensual Somatics, which is all around working deeply with embodiment, with parts work and sensuality, sexuality, pleasure. And that's a group for women and vulva owners. And yeah, so yeah, yeah, if you sign up on my websites, there's some free gifts you can get as well there. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook as well. Yeah, and YouTube.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful. And we will drop those links in the show notes as well. And do you work with people privately as well?
I do. My practice is about full at
Perfect.
the moment, but I'll probably have space from September again. Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah,
Perfect. Perfect. And I guess this is probably coming out sometime in July and August.
yeah,
Yeah, at the moment I have 2 spots open for private coaching, so we'll see what fills up by then, but you can always
yeah,
hop on a free call. The link will be in the show notes as well to find out, what and how that looks and how that can look for you and what you're looking for and if it can help you, which I'm pretty sure Francis also offers for complimentary calls as well to explore and figure out what's the deal and
yes,
what it is that
yeah,
you're looking for.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so, so much for joining me on the show today. I think it's so important to show this healing element that is really, really possible, also through this tantric lens. It's been a life changer for me, and sounds like it has been for you as well. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been fun. Yeah.
Good. Thank you so much. Until next time, everyone.